After crushing Fandango a week or so ago when tickets went first on pre-sale, the Fantastic Four First Steps, well, it has its first early look at the box office forecast and $125 to $136 million domestic opening weekend. That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay, in the grand scheme of things, that puts it at what? Top 5 performer in 2025, but in the grand scheme of Marvel, it's not that great. Okay, and I would imagine, and the way that this thing is tracking and the more we learn about it, you're going to wish you could get those $126 million, and even if you do get them in the first weekend, that second week drop-off is gonna be ass. But yes, over 6 weeks away from the release of the Fantastic Four First Steps, so while box office tracking is still a ways off, Box Office Theory has shared their early forecast and how they're tracking it, which I find it to be very interesting, okay? And based on factors such as ticket pre-sales, trailer views, and reactions, which have been, well, as much as I've hated them, they have been not negative. I think that's about the nicest way I can put it. It hasn't been like overwhelmingly positive, but it's been probably the most positively received Marvel production in a while, and especially at that volume. Yeah, people were willing to give this the benefit of the doubt. I'm just waiting to see after people have it in their hands, and once Pedro starts melting down, that'll be fun. Marvel's previous late summer openers and the competition the movie will face when it hits theaters. But if you recall, right, like this is a part of that trifecta of big budget slop films coming out in July. It has a distinct advantage of being 2 weeks after the second release. I know this totally doesn't make any sense, but it's the third film and it releases at the tail end of July, giving it enough daylight between the other two big budget releases, and setting the tone for the rest of the summer, which August and September are fairly light on releases. If you look at the rest of the schedule, and Christ almighty, like things don't really pick up until the holiday season. Fucking Hollywood is so dumb by just bunching all this shit together, but I digress. At the risk of understating, a release 2 weeks after Superman will be incredibly interesting to follow, according to Box Office Theory. In an era where many audiences have become more selective about which comic book films to get them into cinemas, this year's two biggest properties from that realm will aim to coexist in the lucrative late summer corridor. Either way, diehard fans will show up for both. Well, yeah, of course, like diehard DC fans are going to show up for that. Diehard Marvel fans are going to show up for this as well. And then the people just looking for the dumpster fire, well, yeah, for a couple of lulls, and if they got a spare 20 burning a hole in their pocket, Human Torch style, yeah, they'll probably go check both out as well. But most people, I think they're going to be waiting on reviews, because if you take a look, yeah, okay, Fantastic Four is obviously going to overperform the other two duds that have come out this year. Thunderbolts, yeah, opening weekend, $76 million, but they actually have this wrong. Captain America Brave New World opened with $88.8 million domestically. You know why I remember that? No reason in particular, but while not troubling, yes, The Mighty Deadpool and Wolverine, the next most recent Marvel production, yeah, $211 million opening weekend. Now, it's an asshole film. Like, it's a different type of slop than the Thunderbolts and Brave New World, but it still aids regardless. Again, yes, very early for the accurate estimates, but the site has a pretty solid track record for getting fairly close with their predictions. So yeah, $125 to $136 million. Okay, and they're saying, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out, especially given it's 2 weeks after the release of Superman, which is scheduled, or is at least projected, to make between $156 to $175 million, because those tickets just went on pre-sale as well, and well, did a little bit better than the Fantastic Four. Okay, with a little over 5 weeks to go, Superman is already picking up traction on social media. And the current forecast for Superman is bigger than most were probably expecting, as the Man of Steel is looking towards a huge $145 to $175 million. So yeah, we're just going to be seeing James Gunn's stupid, whited out face for the next decade. Yay. Superman's James Gunn has a low end of $145 million, high end of $185, and is a pinpoint of about $175. This could not only be the biggest Superman opening of all time, but the biggest DC opening of all time. Much higher than anything Zack Snyder and the Snyderverse ever produced. Though don't say that too loud, because the Snyderoids will just be coming out of the woodworks, because they'll be able to just pause the Snyder Cut because they've already watched it 387,000 times at this point. They'll need something to break up the monotony of just, establishing shots and watching the Justice League walk up the stairs, because how would you know if they got to the top of the stairs without showing if they walked from the bottom of the stairs? However, this may not be entirely accurate, and the outcome could go either way. The Flash was also projected to open with huge numbers, but dropped off immensely, yes, when the Scarlet Speedster finally hit cinemas. But last time I checked, David Corenswet wasn't out there choking bitches in Hawaii, so I think we're probably going to be all right. With the predictions from Box Office Theory, they predicted the Thunderbolts to open at 70 million, and and the New Avengers open to 74 million. There's no 100 in there. Okay, like they'll be lucky to make $100 if they're peddling this shit on a fucking street corner if they're looking to sell the rights. Out by just 4 million. They had Brave New World projected at 96, and it ended up grossing 88. So yeah, they're normally within $5 to $10 million, so not too bad for this far out. So there's a big reason, right? Okay, so you got Superman looking to dominate, at least at opening weekend. Is it going to have the legs to weather the Fantastic Four storm? We'll, of course, have to see, but when you see shit like this, Pedro Pascal shares a unifying Superman and Fantastic Four artwork ahead of both movie releases next month. I mean, you gotta see that there's a little bit of panic on the horizon from one side of this, a little bit more desperate than the other, because outside of James Gunn saying, oh yeah, we just want to see vitriol that's out there, okay? We just want everybody to enjoy what's going on this July, just enjoy movies again, mostly because he's perhaps a little bit shaky with his own production. There's a lot of stress riding on his performance, of course, but I haven't heard Corenswet, Brosnahan, or anybody affiliated with this project go out there and either take shots or hell, even acknowledge Fantastic Four. They're just out there going, yep, Superman's going to be great. You don't have to be like Pedro Pascal, just being the weirdest motherfucker walking the face of the earth, promoting somebody else's movie instead of his own, trying to manufacture this stupid fucking Barbenheimer bullshit, Superfantastic. Yo, man, reading shit like this and knowing that this definitely came from the mind of Pedro Pascal really makes him licking that fucking rainbow glow stick make a lot more sense in my mind. Holy crap. The success of Barbenheimer was due to it being two disparate films capturing the zeitgeist for two different sets of audiences. Okay, one film that went after the female dollar and was actually successful at capturing the female dollar, and the other one just simply being a breath of fresh air, with it being an R-rated, for as much kind of sort of, okay, not pushing a political agenda, rather, not saying that it wasn't a political movie, because obviously there's politics in it. Okay, it was about the origin of the atomic bomb, for Christ's sakes. But yes, just a well-directed, well-acted, competent film made by one of the last great directors out there. There's a reason that one succeeded, and then there's of course the reason that Barbie succeeded. These are at a 30,000 foot view, ostensibly the same movies. You're not going to be able to recapture that success, mostly because outside of James Gunn himself, there's not a lot of bad publicity around Superman. Like, people will just go ahead and nitpick the suit and call Corenswet great value Henry Cavill, but it has nowhere near the baggage that Fantastic Four does, both with having to carry on Marvel's legacy of slop in the past 5 to 10 years, having to deal with female Silver Surfer, girl boss Mary Sue Storm, and then of course Pedro himself. But it's so funny, right? Because this isn't the next film, okay, on Pedro's release schedule. In fact, it's the third film coming up in his queue, because he has The Materialist and then of course Eddington, which is just, oh my god, the premise itself is so insane. He's mayor of a lockdown era New Mexico town where he's fighting against the Joaquin Phoenix sheriff, and Joaquin Phoenix gets radicalized by online content to become an anti-vaxxer, and Pedro Pascal is going to be upholding the corporate narrative to believe the science. That shit looks like a total ass cancer, but it's A24, so you're just going to have those blind simps going, oh, it's an A24 movie, oh, we like that because they're like lower budget indie flicks. And it's like, you're just as bad as all of those families that go and support all of that creatively bankrupt live action remake slop. But anyways, The Materialist, yes, the next Pedro Pascal movie that is debuting this weekend, I think. Dakota Johnson, oh Jesus Christ, man, this mid bitch, another nepo baby, measures a value of a love between Chris Evans and Pedro Pascal in Celine Song's sublime rom-com drama. Yeah, whatever, man. So you got Madam Web being lusted over by OG Johnny Storm and now Reed Richards. Interesting. While Pedro is too busy simping after Superman, Dakota Johnson is out there on the interview circuit, and we last week looked at one of her other interviews where she was continuing to lament her contributions to Madam Web. She decided to share a little bit of insight into her materialist co-star in the form of Pedro Pascal, and he likes to wear women's dresses, wears women's clothes, taken from female co-stars, according to Dakota Johnson in a Fallon interview. What the fuck is going on here? I mean, I'm not shocked. Not shocked at all. Okay, he's definitely going to be Mr. Fantastic. Pedro Pascal reportedly wears women's clothes taken from his co-stars, according to a recent interview. Pedro Pascal has built a career playing tough, silent types. Sure, that's how you describe Oberyn Martell? Tough, silent type. Right. Joel, who has mental breakdowns and little panic attacks? Right. But okay, from smuggling children to safety across a post-apocalyptic America to bounty hunting in a galaxy far, far away. But off-screen, yes, his antics are starting to sound less like a Mandalorian. Oh no, he definitely sounds like a Disney or a Lucasfilm employee. I mean, how many of those get busted on a regular basis? And like a fashion-obsessed roommate who never asks before borrowing. In a June 2nd episode of The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, yo, this is just coming to light. It kind of goes to show you how dead late night television is. But anyways, amidst the normal backdrop of absolutely no one laughing, materialist star Dakota Johnson. Oh, is that just a dig at Fallon or a dig at Johnson's lack of charisma? Casually exposed a rather curious quirk about her co-star Pedro Pascal. When Fallon pulled up a photo of the pair attending a 2024 Stevie Nicks concert in London, Johnson immediately pointed to Pedro's attire and dropped a bomb. "That's my sweater. I beg your pardon?" He does that a lot, she explained, clearly amused at the memory of Pedro Pascal in women's clothing. "He takes my clothes." Fucking what? Fallon, like much of the audience, seemed to think that she was joking. Okay, picture not related. But Johnson doubled down. Apparently, the 50-year-old actor is frequently undressed and raids Johnson's wardrobe when the temperature dips. Yo, this is getting fucking weird. Now he's just... he's like that furry that worked in Biden's nuclear department who was stealing women's luggage at airports. Oh no, does he have like a Bachelor of Science? Because this could get just like real... I know that his father was a bit of a fucking scumbag as well. In certain medical endeavors. Oh my god, it's all making sense. He's like always undressed or underdressed, sorry. Okay. Well, I mean, he's wearing a t-shirt and it's cold outside. Not like he forgot his pants. No, he just wears little page boy shorts. Make him look like a concentration guard in the summertime. The crowd laughed, but this was hardly the first time Pascal's personal behavior has taken center stage, and it's not a flattering light. Fans and critics alike are beginning to piece together a pattern of increasingly strange media moments. Yeah, of course, and a picture not at all related. No, of course not. In recent months, he's gone viral for dancing around with a rainbow-colored pole and sticking it up. Anyways, suggestively, yes, at the Last of Us rap party encouraged Johnson to launch, yes, an OnlyFans account, and now, according to Johnson, stealing women's clothing. But yes, to some fans it's quirky, and to others it's quintessential Pedro Pascal. People online have been fed up with him for a long time, thinking that he's been cast in everything. But yeah, you take a look at his IMDb, and in recent years, yeah, he's been in a fair number of things. But honestly, he hasn't been in as many things as people would like to represent him as taking part in. But now that's really starting to go into overdrive. And what was it? God, I think it's about the tail end of last year when he was running his mouth about something. I made the prediction that the Fantastic Four is probably not going to end up doing all that well, mostly because at this point in time, you're going to be getting the tail end of Last of Us Season 2. You're going to be getting, all of the promotion around Star Wars and Mandalorian and him, okay? That ended up reaching a fever pitch. I was a little bit off on that projection because nobody gives a fuck about Star Wars anymore, except for when Tony Gilroy comes out and says Disney Plus is broke, but I digress. And then, of course, Marvel going whole hog on the Fantastic Four because the Thunderbolts and Black Falcon America Man those were obviously going to bomb. So people en masse are going to start to recognize and associate this guy's face with just modern generic Hollywood slop, and his star, as it has burned exceptionally bright in recent years, it's about to flame out just as quickly. And in his case, flaming out is probably more accurate on multiple levels. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo, and wish to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.